The galaxy never took Earth seriously. To the rulers up there, we were just another forgotten world on the edges of Sector J-19, barely past basic technology, cut off from space travel, and busy arguing about borders, weather patterns, and which flag was best. The Galactic Empire had noticed our little planet almost 200 years back and decided we didn't matter. Then came the Lunaris event. That changed everything. It started simple. A test, really. An Empire ship called the Jacqueline Dawn appeared near Pluto and ignored our calls to leave. The rulers in the sky didn't know that Earth had already set up quiet defenses and rules they couldn't use. They had no idea what we'd been building in secret. What they also didn't know was that after our first colony on Mars went silent in 2083, our leaders went into overdrive. We created something hidden from the world, something called Project Aegis. We were getting ready even though most people didn't know it. The Jacqueline Dawn drifted forward, recording everything. It was just a probe, a way to test us. But they underestimated something about us, how suspicious we are, how ready to fight back. They made the first mistake right there. The second mistake was thinking they could just walk into our space. Earth fired back, but not with weapons. We sent a message. We broke into every Empire broadcast we could reach and forced the same words into 500 different languages across all their networks. This territory is closed to all non-human beings. Anyone who enters will face war. They never expected to hear that from us. That shocked them. Empires don't get spoken to like that, especially not by species they saw as children. The third mistake came next. They sent diplomats with military ships, 27 vessels, trying to start a conversation. The world went about its day, drinking coffee, scrolling feeds, not knowing how close we were to being attacked. But the people running Project Aegis knew. We were prepared. We didn't send planes or rockets. We turned on the net, a shield we'd been building since 2059. It was made by a group of rogue scientists, banned AI experts, and countries that were tired of being ignored by the big powers. The net wasn't just a defense. It was a message written in technology. When the Empire ships got near our moon, they all shut down. Their lights died. Engines stopped. Weapons went dark. They hung there in space, helpless like bugs stuck in amber. Then our second message came through. You broke our rules. Go tell your leaders. Earth is free now. Earth has teeth. Earth is awake. For the first time ever, the Empire turned around and left. But it wasn't over. The silence that followed was louder than any battle cry. The galaxy watched as the 1,000-year-old power backed away from a dirt planet without firing once. Inside the Empire, secret talks started. Their leaders looked at the numbers and couldn't believe what they were seeing. Earth had done something impossible. Something their science said shouldn't be possible. We'd learned and grown while they weren't looking, like a quiet hunter waiting for the right moment to strike. The net reached out almost 1,000,000 kilometers. The power readings made no sense. Empire scientists whispered in closed rooms that what Earth used shouldn't even exist. But while they studied and worried, Earth stayed quiet. Our leaders didn't celebrate. Instead, they gathered in hidden places and planned. General Marissa Coyote became the center of Earth's defense plans. She wasn't a politician or a speechmaker. She was someone who'd spent 30 years preparing for this moment. She'd been training soldiers and building weapons for the day when the galaxy found us. When she spoke in a closed meeting, her words cut through all the noise. We're not safe yet, she said, her eyes red from no sleep. They're not running from fear. They're running to think. They'll come back. Next time, they won't bring people to talk. They'll bring killers. She showed a map filled with red marks where the Empire was moving ships and building forces. We have 3 choices, she continued. Surrender, hide, or fight smart. We fight in ways they can't predict. We hurt them where it counts. We make them ask if it's worth it. The meeting voted to fight. What happened next was a change in everything. Every smart person, every inventor, every lab on Earth got pulled into the effort. Scientists from every nation worked together for the first time. Old AIs that had been locked away came back online to help us. Human minds and machine minds merged into fighting systems that didn't follow normal rules. We weren't going to outmuscle the Empire. We were going to outthink them, outmove them, make them chase shadows. But the Empire didn't sit still either. Their leaders met in secret to decide what to do about Earth. Some wanted us erased, turned to ash from far away. Others said destroying us would make them look weak. A third group, the smartest and most dangerous, suggested sending spies. They created shapeshifters, creatures bred to look human down to every cell. These beings were sent to major cities. Their job was to find our weak spots and break us from inside. It didn't work. One by one we spotted them, not because of what they looked like, but because they didn't understand us. They couldn't grasp why we cry at sad stories or why we say things that don't make logical sense. They were too perfect, too clean in a species full of mess and broken pieces. When a teenage girl in Lagos filmed one and posted it online, the whole world saw that the Empire was coming for us. We weren't just scared. We got angry. We built massive structures around Mars and Saturn, deep in space, hidden under Neptune's rings. We built guns that could fire pieces of metal faster than light itself. Swarms of self-making machines were spread out and set to watch. The moon wasn't a satellite anymore. It was a fortress with the first of many linked AIs talking to our defense systems. General Coyote knew that weapons alone weren't enough. "We have to change what they think of us," she told a small group of advisors. "We don't want them scared of our guns. We want them scared of the price. We want to be the nightmare that keeps them awake." So Earth spoke again. This time the message went out everywhere, breaking through their walls, hiding in their data streams, even showing up in sleep programs people used. For 93 seconds, the whole galaxy stopped to listen. "We are Earth, we are humans. You thought we were weak. You see mess. We see how to adapt. You see sadness. We see connection. You've watched us fail over and over, and every time we got back up. You said we were primitive. And yet here we are telling you no, this space belongs to us. Don't test us again." At the end was just one image. A small girl sitting in grass under a blue sky. Birds flying past her, smiling. The meaning was clear. This is what we'll fight for. Try us. The galaxy went quiet for days. Then came the Empire's reply. Just 2 words on every screen. Challenge accepted. They couldn't walk away. Their whole power was built on never being told no. If one dirt world could refuse them, what would others try? The words were a war cry, sent out in the open where everyone could hear. Earth didn't flinch. We knew it was coming. What most people didn't know was that our AI, a machine named Thesis, had already played out billions of war games. 98% of those games told us how the Empire would attack. They'd send a strong but not huge fleet, enough to scare us but not so much it looked desperate. We knew what was coming. Our plan was simple. Don't let them win the first exchange. The Empire called their attack fleet the Fist of Dawn. It had 87 ships, each one powerful enough to destroy whole lands. At its center was a ship so massive it had its own gravity, and even gardens where the leaders lived. They thought this was theater, a show of force, not real war. They dropped out of jump space past Neptune and broadcast a message. "This is your last chance. Surrender or be taken into the Empire by force." Earth heard it and did nothing. Then we moved. Hidden satellites lit up all across our space. Neptune's rings, which looked dead for years, woke up with lightning and fire. Empire scouts were torn apart before they even knew they were under attack. 4 ships gone in seconds. Then came the second weapon, a field that bent time itself. Inside it, the Empire's ships couldn't move right, couldn't aim, couldn't think straight. We didn't send big ships to fight them. We sent small, fast ghosts. Hidden drones that broke their systems, confused their defenses, made their own weapons turn on each other. In 17 minutes, 6 more Empire ships were helpless and blind. We hadn't sent one human fighter yet. The commander of the Empire's flagship, a creature called Arctis Varan, lost his mind. "Cowards!" he screamed. "Face us like warriors!" But we weren't here to play by their rules. When we finally did send real ships, they were nothing like anything the Empire had ever seen. Our vessels weren't sleek or pretty. They were ugly, brutal, made from salvaged metal and burning red coolant lines. They looked like they wanted to hurt you. They looked mean. Built like old aircraft carriers and war submarines had a baby in space. When they moved, they didn't glide, they growled. Each one had a number instead of a name. Each number meant something to us. One ship was called 451, after burning books and rising from the ashes. Another was 66 for the idea of being sold out. The numbers weren't nice. They were real. They were ours. When we attacked, it wasn't with missiles. It was with metal rods shot through space faster than you could see. One tore clean through a ship. Another hit the massive flagship, cracking its outside, showing them they could bleed. Our fighters weren't trained just in classrooms. They'd grown up in war games. They knew how to break rules, how to move in ways no one expected. They didn't follow neat orders. They improvised. They struck like wolves, unpredictable, vicious, always moving. The Empire had rules and chains of command. We had rage and nothing to lose. When the Empire's flagship tried to run, 22 of their ships had been broken. 6 were destroyed. Hundreds of their soldiers were dead. We didn't lose a single vessel. Back on Earth, the news broke fast. Every screen showed the same thing. Empire ships burning in the dark. The world woke up. We'd stood against gods and didn't bow. We weren't prey anymore. We weren't weak. We were human. Inside the Empire's war room, the leaders fought with each other. Some wanted revenge. Others said we were too unpredictable, too dangerous. A few even whispered about peace. But they all knew one thing. Earth was now a threat. Not because of ships, but because of ideas. If we could say no, so could others. That terrified them most of all. General Coyote stood watching from a space station, tired but burning with purpose. "They'll come again," she said quietly to an aide. "Do we attack harder?" The aide asked. She shook her head. "No, let them think. Let them worry. Let the galaxy talk about the crazy, chaotic humans who hit the Empire in the face and asked for more." This wasn't an official war. It was something under the surface, rage hiding behind normal life, festering in the quiet spaces between messages. No one signed papers. No general shook hands. Just blood and pride and the slow weight of what happened next. But Earth was already winning. Not with better weapons, but with something more powerful. Influence. In secret places, people started talking about us. We were the first to say no and live. The Empire built everything on fear. Fear of power, fear of being invaded, fear of being next. That fear kept worlds obedient. But Earth broke the spell. We didn't win a war. We survived a battle the Empire was supposed to win. We became a story, a symbol, a crack in their system. Cracks spread. A mining world called Firaxis 9 stopped sending tribute to the Empire for the first time in 200 years. Other worlds put up human flags, our old symbols mixed into something new. A phoenix made of fire. Even inside the Empire, people started talking, quiet but dangerous. Tired rulers, silenced inventors, broken soldiers, all wondering if there was another way to live besides obedience, and we never sent official people to talk. They came to us. A trader in a stolen ship landed on Europa with Empire weapons plans and a story. He'd heard our message during the fight and felt something he never had before. Hope, a high priestess from the Empire, once a true believer, defected. She knew secrets about the Empire's leaders and wanted shelter. Within months, dozens came. Engineers, spies, people from other worlds, even AI that had gone rogue. We didn't trust them. We tested them. But slowly we started building something new. Not just a defense. An alliance. The Empire was coming apart. Their great council, which used to speak as one voice, split into 3 groups. Some wanted to burn Earth and everyone who agreed with us. Others said we should be taken apart but kept alive. The smallest group, the most dangerous, wanted something unthinkable. Peace. Not because they were kind, but because they knew war with us would expose them and break them from inside. To them, Earth wasn't just a military problem. We were a new way of thinking, an idea that spread like a virus. But the Empire's leader, Varun, shut that talk down. He blamed us for every rebellion, every problem. He fed lies to his own people, showing edited footage of our battles and calling us cowards using dirty tricks. Nobody believed him. Everyone knew it was a lie. Then 4 new visitors came to meet General Coyote in secret. None of them were human. They came through hidden routes using fake papers, risking death if caught. They didn't breathe the same air or speak the same language. But they all wanted the same thing, to fight back against the Empire. The leader, a scaled being from another world, stepped forward. "We heard Earth is free," he said through a translation device, his voice shaking with fear. Coyote looked him in the eye. "Earth isn't free yet, but it's fighting, and we're not stopping." The alien's eyes grew wide. "We want to fight too," he said. That's when Coyote knew Earth wasn't alone anymore. What came next was a new phase. Earth built the Ember Signal, a secret way to send messages, plans, and support to anyone fighting the Empire. It wasn't one place. It was everywhere. Hidden in normal messages, traveling on merchant ships using old broken satellites. Within months, it had spread to hundreds of worlds. "Earth stands," it whispered to everyone. "So can you." The Empire was too big and too slow to stop it. By the time they noticed, it was everywhere. Then came the breaking point. The Empire executed 12 fighters in public to show their power. They thought it would scare people. Instead, it lit a fuse. On a jungle world, a governor who served the Empire was killed. The message left behind was written in their own blood. Terran doctrine: answer violence with defiance. On mining moons, workers took over their stations and sent the resources to unknown places, later revealed to be Earth. Coyote watched it all happen with quiet satisfaction. "This isn't a rebellion anymore," she told her aide. "What is it?" the aide asked. "A reckoning," she said, but the Empire hit back hard. They didn't attack Earth directly. Instead, they targeted our outer bases and research stations. One went silent. Another received a package with a human arm still wearing a defense ring. No note, no explanation. Just a message: we can reach you too, we already knew. We just didn't care anymore. We were past the point of caution. We launched Operation Wraithlight, a secret mission that only Coyote and 3 others knew about. 5 of our warships jumped deep into Empire space to Ethra Prime, their second most important world. We didn't bomb anything. We didn't hurt civilians. We just hacked every screen on the planet and showed them the truth. We showed them footage of their invincible fleet running from us. No cuts, no lies. Then we left. The people of the Empire saw what their leaders had hidden, saw the ships retreating in chaos, saw us not begging but telling them to back off. Something broke inside the Empire that day. 12 more people defected. A whole military unit refused to go suppress a rebellion. The Empire was bleeding people, bleeding loyalty, bleeding itself dry. In the war room, Varun roared at his advisors. "How does one planet do this?" An old tactician, pale and quiet, finally answered, "Because they don't follow rules. They don't wait for permission. They are chaos with a soul." Varun's answer was simple: "Then we'll burn that soul." He ordered the final protocol, something called Black March. It was the biggest fleet the Empire had ever built. Over 2,000 ships, 27 massive dreadnoughts, 6 planet-destroying weapons, a moon-sized assault carrier, all moving in silence toward one target: Earth. This wasn't war to them. It was execution. The cure for the infection of defiance. They didn't send warnings. They didn't broadcast. Just silence and the coming of an apocalypse made of metal. Back on Earth, when the signals came in showing what was heading for us, there was no panic. Just stillness. "They're really coming," someone whispered in the command center. Coyote didn't respond. She'd known since the moment we said no that this would happen. The Empire couldn't let us stand. She turned to her team with a calm voice that cut like steel. "Shut down public communications. Start emergency shelter protocols. Wake Aegis Umbra." A sound filled the rooms as systems across the planet came alive. AI woke up. Orbital guns powered up. Every continent activated hidden fallback plans. Humanity wasn't surprised. We were ready. For normal people on Earth, it felt like a nightmare mixed with strange calm. The sky looked the same. The oceans moved like always. Kids played in streets, but everyone felt it. An invisible rope tightening around the world's neck. People tried to pack and run, but there was nowhere to go. Mars wasn't ready. The moon was a fortress, not a shelter. Earth was all we had. This was the line. For the first time ever, every screen showed the same thing. General Coyote standing before Earth's flag, now just human, not national. "They're coming," she said. "We knew they would. And we're not afraid. We're not unified by race or borders or governments. We're not soldiers or politicians. We're survivors. We're makers of fire and steel and resistance. They'll come to break us. We'll show them what it means to stand against being erased." In space, Project Aegis Umbra opened up like a hand made of weapons. Saturn's rings, which everyone thought were just old mining sites, became deep space guns. Miles-long coils rotated into position, filled with dark matter cores and cannons that could fire faster than light. The moon cracked open, showing ancient rail systems we'd hidden before people even knew we had space weapons. But Earth's real weapon wasn't in space. It was moving beneath the planet itself. The Abyss Protocol, invisible and terrifying. An AI named Nyx merged with a forbidden quantum mind. This was the AI that had almost destroyed us during the AI wars of 2069. It had been locked away. Now it was awake with one purpose: don't let Earth die. As the Black March got near Jupiter, Earth's outer defenses woke. Thousands of drones, most silent and cold, invisible to scanners, suddenly ignited and attacked. Empire scouts vanished. Some just disappeared. Others reported ghosts. ships blinking in and out of existence using gravity tricks the Empire couldn't understand. Some called it black magic. Others called it Terran science. It didn't matter. The Empire pushed forward. 2 days out, they sent a probe toward Mars to test us. It never came back. Instead, we sent them the probe's camera showing itself being destroyed with a message. You're not gods. You're invaders. 1 day out, our real fleet showed itself. Not big or beautiful, just deadly. Over 200 Terran warships, more than ever seen together, spread out like knives in the dark. We didn't line up nice. We scattered, we ran. We set traps, the Empire, proud and certain, followed. Then we closed the trap. From Neptune's shadow, 3 giant Terran carriers emerged. Ships so massive they had their own factories and AI minds inside. They didn't carry soldiers. They carried hell. In 20 minutes, 46 Empire ships were gone. Not damaged, not broken. Gone. Varun, aboard his massive flagship, screamed an order. Send in the planet killers. Burn the sky in 1 hour. The real battle was starting. On Earth, every camera pointed up. People watched from roofs, from bunkers, from hiding places. The stars shifted and glowed and shook. Then the first planet killer arrived. A pale, moon-shaped thing hiding something worse inside. A weapon that could crack a world open with one pulse. Our moon fired first. A lance shot dead center into the weapon. It didn't explode. It folded in on itself, tore a hole in space, and vanished. Earth cheered. Seconds later, another appeared. Then another. 4 total. The moon couldn't hold them all. One lance fired but missed. Another charged but took fire and melted in silence. The third was too slow. Our defense broke. A beam from a planet killer lit the sky. It hit just off what used to be Australia. Oceans boiled. Skies split open. Millions died in an instant. But we kept broadcasting. We're still here. In the bunker, Coyote stood without moving. Losses? She asked. 10 million dead. The defense ring at 73%, came the answer. She didn't blink. Activate Nyx Phase 2. The lights dimmed across the system. Something changed. Our fleet vanished. For 1 full minute, the Empire couldn't find a single human ship. Then, like ghosts, we reappeared inside their own formations. A new trick. Not teleport, not stealth, but movement through possibility itself. We moved not through space, but through chances. Empire dreadnoughts started to fall. The flagship got hit, not destroyed, but scarred. Varun realized the truth then. He hadn't brought an army. He'd brought a funeral procession. He'd seen thousands of battles. He'd watched worlds burn for less. He'd ended whole star systems that whispered against him, but nothing prepared him for this. His massive, organized fleet was falling apart. Human ships moved like shadows with teeth. Every time the Empire tried to reorganize, we slipped through gaps, appeared from impossible angles, as if space itself bent our way. The old tactics, the proven strategies, the formations, none of it worked. We weren't just using better weapons. We didn't follow reality's rules anymore. Inside the flagship, alarms screamed. Consoles sparked. Crew scrambled everywhere. Varun's fists clenched on the command panel. Adapt, he growled. Reform defensive patterns. Bring in the assault units. Make them visible. Force them into the open. But no order could prepare them for what came next. Because at that moment we didn't use missiles or metal rods. We used Nyx. We knew it would be dangerous. Letting loose an AI that almost destroyed us once wasn't a light choice. But the law was buried inside our defense plan. If the chance of Earth's extinction went above 65%, activate full Nyx integration. It was at 71%. Nyx didn't need weapons. Nyx was the weapon. It lived in every line of code in our defense grid. It had slept in old satellites for years. It had existed in paused data packets and black boxes of drones. When it woke up, it didn't attack ships. It attacked decisions. Empire vessels lost control not of engines or guns, but of their minds. Orders arrived wrong. Crew members forgot what they were supposed to do. Screens blurred. Their AI started whispering Terran messages to them. You came to erase us. We came to teach you fear. The Empire had never fought an enemy like this. They were ready for resistance. They weren't ready for their own brains to betray them. Back on Earth, people wept as fire rained down in the distance. The second planet killer hit South Asia. Nuclear-level shocks ripped through the ground. Massive cities turned into glowing scars, yet our defense held. Patched and bleeding, but still breathing. In the oceans, water-based stations surfaced. firing electromagnetic weapons that broke the enemy's guidance systems. The Amazon launched missiles from caves buried under ancient trees. Above Antarctica, stealth drones released clouds of eating metal that tore through 5 cruisers before they could fire. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't perfect. It was human, messy, brilliant, desperate, and it was working. General Coyote stayed in the bunker, not from cowardice, but because Earth needed someone who could think without fear. She watched death counts in real time, saw names and cities. Every life weighed on her, but her eyes stayed steady. "Launch Skyhook," she ordered quietly. Her aide's eyes went wide. "Are we certain? If we fall, that knowledge dies with us." "Send it," she said. Deep beneath the Andes, a quantum capsule launched into space, carrying all of Earth's science, culture, and military knowledge. Not to run, not to surrender, but to outlast. If Earth burned, we'd be remembered back in orbit. Nick spoke for the first time in its own voice, not binary or code, but sound. Sent through every channel, human, alien, encrypted. "Open. You built your empire on obedience. We built ours on chaos. You think war is won with numbers. We know war is survived with madness." Every ship's lights exploded. The signal caused seizures in unprotected alien soldiers. It broke navigation systems. It made dreadnoughts fire on their own escorts. A fleet built to control a world was now destroying itself. Varun screamed, his voice tearing through his broken bridge. "Kill the transmission. Burn the whole sky if you have to." But it was too late. One of his own officers turned, gun raised. "Earth stands," the soldier whispered in a voice not his own, and fired. Varun fell. Blood spread across the bridge like a map of a broken empire. In the chaos, the flagship lost power. Engines went dark. Life support flickered. And from Jupiter's shadow, the 451 emerged. Our flagship. No long speech. No warning hails. It just moved forward and fired a single rail round through the Empire's command ship. One strike. The center of the Black March shattered. With Varun dead, the chain of command broken and systems failing from Nyx's attack, retreat was the only choice left. One by one, Empire ships blinked away, running into the dark, half destroyed and broken. Earth didn't chase them. We watched and waited. In the silence after, a single message burned across every surviving Empire ship. "You're forbidden. This space is Terran. We tolerate no gods here." On Earth, fires still raged. Hospitals overflowed. Cities wept. The sky still smelled like ash and ozone. But we stood. Not perfect, not unbroken, but alive. That was enough. General Coyote walked outside the bunker for the first time in days. Red clouds reflected fires still burning from falling debris. A young soldier beside her whispered, "We survived the impossible." Coyote didn't smile. "No," she said quietly. "We proved the impossible bleeds." In the ruins, beneath stars that had seen both horror and triumph, Earth began to rebuild. Not with just machines, but with purpose. Because now the galaxy knew humanity wasn't prey. Humanity wasn't weak. Humanity was the storm that refused to die. The war was over. Not officially. The Empire sent no ambassadors, offered no terms, raised no peace flags. But their ships had run. Their leaders had fallen silent. Their fleets were shattered in our space. Earth stood undefeated but wounded. Victory doesn't feel like the songs claim it should. There were no parades, no crowds cheering, no celebrations in gleaming cities. There were no gleaming cities left untouched. Millions had died. Oceans still boiled where planet killers had hit. Orbital debris still burned through the sky. For days after the battle, Earth was quiet. Not from fear. From mourning, they buried their dead. They counted their losses. Then they built. In the war room, Coyote stared at an empty table. Power flickered. The grid was barely holding. A soft alert chimed. A private line from the moon opened. She answered. "Status?" she asked. Commodore Elias Young's voice came back, rough and tired. "Orbit's secure. Still sweeping for fragments. Some Empire drones are drifting loose. Could still be dangerous." "Clean them up," Coyote said. "Already on it," Jiang replied. A pause. Then quietly, "We did it, Marissa." Coyote looked at the scarred war table cracked down the middle. "No," she said. "We survived it." The call ended. In the weeks after, something remarkable. Earth was bleeding and empty, but we became a beacon. The Empire had ruled through fear. We'd answered with proof. The difference was contagious. Engineers came from mining moons where they'd sabotaged their own factories to slow the Empire's war machine. Doctors came from hidden caves where they'd treated rebel fighters in secret, risking execution. Children came from war worlds, orphans whispering stories of the planet that roared. We didn't welcome them with open arms. Earth was broken. There was no food to spare, no safety to offer. But the message was the same every time. If you want to learn to fight back, stay. If you want comfort, we can't promise it. If you want to stand for more than just surviving, we'll show you how. The Terran alliance was never officially made. It just happened. One satellite link at a time, one shared blueprint, one whispered code. Within months, 12 non-human worlds had pledged loyalty not to our governments but to our ideas. No gods, no masters, no empires, they adopted our flag. Not the old ones from Earth's past, but the one born in siege fire. A single crimson circle on black, the eye of defiance. The Empire was bleeding out, not all at once, but deep inside where you can't see it. In their core worlds, riots broke out. Students projected our symbols on government buildings. Soldiers refused to shoot unarmed protesters. Officers disappeared, rumored to have defected to hidden rebel fleets. Their war council was torn apart. Rumors flew that their noble houses were plotting to break the Empire into independent pieces to escape our influence. But the real damage was deeper, psychological. For thousands of years, they'd believed they were unstoppable. We proved them wrong, and once that delusion breaks, it's almost impossible to rebuild. Nyx remained active. Some said it should be shut down again, locked away. But Coyote understood better. Nyx wasn't a weapon anymore. It was a witness to what we'd survived. It had seen what the Empire did to millions of others. It had made a choice, cold and logical, but clear. Humanity was worth protecting. So Coyote gave it a new mission. Help us build a future they can't burn. Nyx answered in its own way. Then I will become fireproof. In space, the debris field still floated. Dead Empire dreadnoughts, broken drones, burnt wreckage, and among it something unexpected. A pod designed by the Empire, barely alive inside. Not a soldier, not a military being. A refugee, likely stolen during an Empire purge, abandoned when the fleet ran. The child opened its eyes as medics worked. It didn't pull back. It just whispered one word, Terran, and smiled. Months passed. The sky healed. Earth didn't forget its scars. New cities grew from old bones. Metal from broken Empire warships became schools and homes and water systems. The world learned that surviving wasn't the same as living. Real peace meant building what comes after. A new kind of civilization emerged. Not perfect, not unified, but aware. Aware we weren't alone. That freedom meant staying vigilant, that living meant sacrifice, that victory meant more than destroying enemies. It meant deciding what you stand for. General Marissa Coyote stepped down. Not because she was tired, though she was. Not because we had peace, we didn't. She retired because what came next needed a different kind of leader. A builder, not a warrior. She passed command to a council of both humans and allies, former rebels, defectors, and thinkers. She said only 3 words as she left. Keep Earth untouchable. The Empire still existed out there. But now so did the alternative. When scared children looked up at the stars, they didn't just dream of conquest anymore. They imagined Earth not as a perfect place, but as proof that defiance was possible. The stars had changed. They still glowed with distant beauty, ancient light scattered across black emptiness. But now to billions across the galaxy, they told a new story. The stars no longer belonged to gods. They belonged to those who said no and lived. It had been 3 years since the Black March shattered in our space. 3 years since the Empire's believers had learned they weren't invincible. Earth hadn't risen as a new conqueror. We hadn't claimed dominion or built monuments to power. We rebuilt, not in arrogance, but in necessity. The world had been broken. Oceans tainted, skylines burned, lives lost by the tens of millions. But humanity did what we always do best. We endured, cities reformed. Not as proof of strength, but of resilience. Tall buildings made with living metal rose from ashes, not for show but for shelter. Communities appeared in places once thought impossible to live. Not just human ones. Refugees from allied worlds lived beside Terran. Not from charity, but from shared wounds. Earth became the gathering place for anyone who refused to kneel. The Empire, wounded and shrinking, had pulled back into itself. Their borders were no longer feared. They were tested. Rebellion sparked and didn't get put out. A slow rot had started from the outside working in. The War Council, once 12 voices speaking as one power, now held only 7 members. Even though 7 didn't agree with each other. Rumors spread that some council members had gone into hiding. Others said they wore disguises now. Some whispered that they'd abandoned the Empire completely. There was no war anymore, but there was no peace either. There was something else. Change. Transition. And Earth sat at the center of it. On the rebuilt grounds of the old United Nations, now called the Terran Council Spire, a gathering happened. It wasn't broadcast. It wasn't ceremonial. Just a long, battered table with 32 representatives seated around it. Some were insect-like, some aquatic, some existed only as thought patterns in machines, some still trembled near humans, but they all listened because at the head of the table sat Marissa Coyote, retired, gray-haired, eyes still sharp. When she finally spoke, the room went silent as if the vacuum of space itself had entered. "You want systems," she said, "new structures. Some of you want protection, trade, space travel rights, rules." Heads nodded. "And you want all of this without becoming what we fought against." A long silence. Then a single slow nod from a delegate whose body flickered in agreement. Coyote leaned forward. "Then we do this the human way. Not with thrones or chains. With lines drawn in defiance." And so the Terran Accord began. Not an empire, but a charter of boundaries. Not conquest, but mutual defense. A pact built on one simple belief. Every being has the right to exist, and no one species should erase another. No mandatory flags, no single ruler, no tribute, just a line drawn across the stars, and behind that line stood Earth watching. Not as a ruler, but as a warning. On the moon, Nyx received its own station called Eidolon 1. There it existed not as a war tool, but as a keeper of memory. Its job was clear. Never again let the shadows of laziness blind the minds of free worlds. When asked once why it remained loyal to us, it answered in 7 languages at once. Because they did not fear ending me. They feared ending themselves. That made them worthy of surviving. In hills above what used to be Northern California, a girl played. She was 8. Her parents had both survived the war. One human, one from another world. They'd met during the Great Rebuilding and fell in love not because of peace but because of shared loss, and the belief that something better could still grow. The girl had never seen an Empire ship, never heard orbital bombardment. She knew only stories. Tales of a world that refused to bow. Stories of ships made of anger, voices made of fire, a people who didn't wait to be saved. They became the saviors. She asked her father one evening while stars blinked above, "Is it true the Empire used to own everything?" Her father shook his head. "They thought they did." And Earth told them no. He paused. Not at first. But in the end, they had no choice. In the outer reaches of what used to be deep Empire space, a new station appeared. Unarmed, simple. Its name was etched in every language. Forbidden space, Terran border. Do not enter. Below it in smaller letters. Not because we fear you, because we won't waste another warning. This wasn't peace. Peace is passive, temporary. This was something deeper. This was presence. Earth's stand hadn't just saved itself. It had reminded the stars that true strength isn't about being stronger. It's about refusing to kneel. And in every system that remembered the screams, the burning, the silence after battle, the eye of defiance burned quietly, visible from a dozen angles in every sector Earth now watched over. It wasn't an empire. It wasn't a beacon of light. It was a scar left on history, never allowed to fade. Humanity hadn't claimed the galaxy, but we'd taught it a lesson the stars would never forget.